Hi everyone, today I'll be presenting my technical review of chapter 11 and 12 of the art of network penetration testing. So chapter 11 covers post engagement cleanup, basically what you do before after the hacking is done. And chapter 12 is all about writing the final report and delivering it to the client. So let's get into it. So a lot of people think that test ends once you have compromised everything you need to compromise, but that's actually not true. Chapter 11 makes the point that cleanup is just as important as the testing itself. During an engagement, you are creating files, opening shell connections, modifying configurations, installing backdoors, and all of that needs to be undone before you walk away. The chapter breaks everything down into five categories to make it manageable. And the key thing the author keeps stressing is that none of this is possible if you didn't take good notes while you were testing. You can't clean up what you don't remember creating. So the first two things to handle are active shell connections and any user accounts you touched. For the Meterpreter sessions, you just run sessions dash k inside MSF console, capital K, that kills everything at once. For the Linux server, we compromised in previous chapters. Three backdoor entries had been added directly to the etc passwd file. Pentest, hacker, and RA602. As remember, we create different users, root users, to enable root access. All setting those need to be opened in a text editor and deleted manually. Then you verify by trying to switch to one of those users, confirming you can get an error back. So during the engagement, we left files on multiple systems. On the Go and Windows server, we had copies of the SAM and system registry hive sitting in the temp directory. Those get deleted with the del command. On the Linux server, there were SSH key pairs that needed to be removed. And on the domain controller, we had a copy of ntds.dit and the system hive sitting on the C drive. Those are probably the most sensitive files of the whole engagement because they contain every domain account hash. The rule is simple. If you put it there, you delete it because let's say someone else get access like a real attacker and they see those files and they already got the jackpot. They don't need to do some extra work. They can just grab those files simply and then get all domain account information. So this is the one that catches people out if they are not careful. During the engagement, we made three configuration changes that actively made the target system less secure. We enabled XP CMD shell on the MSSQL server. We created an anonymous network share called Pentest, and we added a crontab entry to a Linux server. All three of those need to be reversed. For XP CMD shell, you run sp configure to set it back to 0. For the share, you just run net share pentest delete, and for the cron tab, you just run crontab -r. After each one, you verify it actually worked before moving on. So the cleanup strategy category is backdoors, and this is probably the most important one because these are the things you deliberately installed on maintained access. We had three Meterpreter persistence module had written a VBS file to the chain host and added an auto run registry key. Metasploit actually generates a cleanup script for these actually, so you just need to run the commands from that file, and we had a WAR file deployed on the Apache Tomcat server. We have to remove that file through the Tomcat manager interface and then verify it by like going into the URL again so that you can confirm that the malware file is not resides on the destination machine too. And then we did the sticky key backdoor on Windows Server using the Tomcat exploit. So we replaced the sticky key with the cmd.exe. So we just need to copy back the original sticky key.exe back here. And then we confirm by doing shift 5 times. So chapter 12, shift gears completely. The technical work is done. Now you have to communicate what you found. And the author makes a really good point here. It doesn't matter how impressive your exploitation was if you can't explain it clearly in the report. The deliverable is what client actually receives and what they use to fix their environment. It also needs to work for two very different audiences. The executive team who just want the high level picture, and the technical team who need enough detail to actually reproduce and fix the issues. The chapter defines 8 components that every professional Pentest report should have. You have got the executive summary, the engagement methodology, the attack narrative, and the technical observations. Those are the main body. Then for appendices, severity definitions, HOTS and services, tool list, and additional references. The author says you might see extra sections in some reports depending on the company, but these 8 exist in very good report and you will ever read. For our exercise 12.1, we produced a full pen test report following the exactly the structure I can show you at the end of the video. So the executive summary is probably the hardest section to write well because you need to talk about technical findings without being technical. Think of it as a standalone document. Someone in the C-suite should be able to read just this section and then understand what happened, how bad it is, and what needs to be done about it. The methodology section is a bit more straightforward. You are just explaining the four-phase approach you used and why. It shows the client you followed a structured process and gives context for how findings were discovered. The attack narrative is actually one of my favorite sections to write because it reads almost like a story. You walk the reader through how the engagement unfolded, how you got into the first system, how that gave you access to the next one, and how it all chained together to eventually get you domain admin. So it makes the risk real in a way that a list of findings just can't. The technical observations section, on the other hand, is very structured. Every findings follows the same format, severity, what you found, what the impact is, ratios evidence, which asset is affected, and a concrete recommendation. The author says 9 times out of 10, this is the section clients flip straight to when they open the report. So once the report is delivered, the engagement isn't quite over in the real world. You typically have a close-out meeting where you walk through the findings with the client's team, answer questions, help them figure out where to start with remediation. If you're a consultant, you hand off after that. But if you're doing this internally at the company you work for, the author points out that you'll probably be involved in the following up for months. On the learning side, the advice is just keep doing engagements and keep researching. Platforms like Hack the Box and then bug bounty programs are great for staying sharp between real engagements. And that's everything. So we'll go to live demo to show you how the cleanup is done. And then we'll take a look into the pen testing report. Thank you. So we'll now remove the backdoor, like we created the root user for the backdoor on the Ubuntu Linux post exploitation in the previous chapter. So we use the cp, the suid command to like make the make the root user make a user with the root access. So we will just use the same way. So you could see this is the file. So this is the file. And we can switch back. So first of all, we do nano passwd t2, and you can see these are the uses that we created to make it. So just remove those lines, save the file, and then use cp again, passwd etc passwd, and that's it. You can just try this, and then you can see no password entry for user pen test. You see here this week. As you see here in the previous chapters, we copied the SAM and system file on the command machine. So initially we get inside the system using the default configuration. So the server was using default configuration as you see here, password 1 and the default username is A, system admin. And then we enable the CMD shell and then we run commands through CMD shell. So through the CMD shell, we created the copies, registry copies, and then saved it on temporary folder as you see here. So what we have to do is we have to delete those files because if someone get access to this machine and they're gonna get this golden ticket, like they can just copy it from the temporary folder. They don't need to do some extra work. They can just copy and get the hashes of the system. So for that we have to delete it. So we use the same cmd command, the Windows 10 setup, and then we'll run that directory command again to verify it doesn't all the system is there. Yes. As you see here, everything is gone. So this is the step to remove the residential files in the system. And then we'll also make sure we don't leave any SSH keys inside, which we created. So there's no keys there. And then there are some keys on the home directory. We can just remove it. We also have to remove this, but it's not like important, but we try not to leave any traces that we entered the system. So it's just saying for that because of the root issues. We remove the custom UT. So I have talked about the issue with the root and things. So that's okay. So we'll just leave it like it. And then that's it on this. So similarly, we got a system access of the AD machine. So this is the Goku machine. So we also got the access. So I think we previously saved it and the C directory. They are, you can see we have both of these files, ntds.dit and the sys file. So these files are the files we use to get all the domain user accounts. So we use both of the files to get the hashes of all the domain accounts, like the whole network control in the last chapters. So we have to delete those files too because if similarly if someone gets see access to this folder and then they can just get it without any more work. Sorry. So what we can do is delete ntds.dit and delete this, then make sure those files are deleted. So we have deleted the other files. Now we have to reverse back any configuration changes. So saw in the previous chapters, we got the MSSQL server, and then we got the MSSQL server access, and then we enabled the CMD shell. So right now we had to disable the CMD shell. For now, this is the first command you have to do. sp configure 0, and then we configure, which is just doing it in the same command. 1 to 0, sorry, my bad. Just reconfigure again, and then now if you try to do cmd shell command, you'll get an error like cmd shell is disabled. So now we have revert back any configuration changes. So we have revert back the changes we have done on the MSSQL server here. So before, so we enable the shared directory for this folder so that we can copy files to this folder, and then from that folder we can SMB and then get these files from the victim machine to the current machine, which is the attacker machine. So as you can see here, I've used the CMD shell to do the command let share, and then we were able to see the share names and then resource and then remarks. So what we have to do is delete the Pentest. So we already have the command here, so I'll just run it. So just press enter. Pentest was deleted successfully. Then we'll just do the net check again to confirm it. So as you see here, the Pentest is no longer available in the share folder. and then we can confirm the configuration is revert back to original. Then we remove the Pentest directory. And the next step we can do is contact -e. So we'll see if the file is there. Yes, yes. You can see the callback script is there, so we have to remove the cron job, so the SSH terminal disables. So for that we can do crontab -r, and then we get rid of it, so we can just go again, and then you can see the entry is not there anymore. So that's it on the Linux machine, and then so now let's move on to like closing the backdoor. So we have executed backdoors in different machines. And now we're gonna make on the Tomcat machine, if you remember. So this was the Tomcat machine. So we initially had, sorry, it goes admin. So we don't have the, I'll just upload the version again. So you can see when we go to the web shell, we were able to run commands. So this is kind of a backdoor. So right now what we will do is undeploy, click here undeploy, and it will show you undeployed application and web shell. So it should be now like removed from the system itself. Web shell and then do this one, and you can see 404 not found. So which means we have successfully removed one of the backdoors. So before doing it, we have to do few more things. So for now, I'll just upload it back again. So now we'll have to show you how can or desktop read the mail. Okay, so when you check the commands back there in previous desktop commands here, yes, we have did this command. Remember, we did copy the backup file to this one. This was the command we ran previously. So before we switch the sticky key with cmd.exe, we did this. And then we did these commands to like make the backdoor works so that they can add our desktop into it and then use the sticky key feature to get the cmd and then run any commands. So for now, what we have to do to revert back these changes just in this command. So you see here in this command, we copy the sticky key to sticky key backup. So what we will do is copy back the sticky key with the backup. So it's the command, we'll just run it. So it says one file copied. And then we'll just start desktop again and it's just from the sticky key and not a malware or like CMD, not other software. So we have, I'll just go back to the manager and then I deploy again to verify. Yes. Just show you web shell. Who am I? And it just says not found. So we have successfully closed all the backdoors in the trunks VM, which had the Tomcat. And then the final one is, as you remember, we exploit into one of the machine using the eternal blue and then made a persistent session using the Meterpreter payload. So we enable persistence by altering the registry key, adding a registry key that can like triggers when a system boots up. So what we have to do is we have to revert back. So it's not much difficult. So MSF console, when it can deploy the persistent, it also creates a file on our attacker machine that has the instruction like what are the commands to run to delete the like revert back the persistence. So this the directory has. So we can see here, so you can see here a lot of files here, a lot of folders here because we have tried a lot bit many times to get succeed. So we just get inside, we can see this file, and then what we will do is can, sorry, just copy it, and then it just says remove the BBS file. We could try check some other directories. It could show you some different instruction, but I think we could 309. Yeah, yes, you see here. Yeah, this is the one it worked. So what we have to do is remove the svc host32.exe and kill the process which is running as a svc host right now, and then delete the service that has this that triggers the svc host while in the boot. So it's pretty simple. We're not gonna redo it again. I'll just have it here. So you just get back to the session and then, it's a reboot process in the session and then you go there and then remove this file and kill the process with current. Yeah, it doesn't need to be 812 when the system reboots. It could have different process ID. So what you can do is you can do the service PIS command or to check the services and the process IDs and then kill this process using the process ID and then execute the delete service here. And that's all for this. I'll just quickly show you my Pentest report, the final report, after it shortly. And thank you. So we'll just quickly go over through the pen testing report. So I have my title here. This is my course name. Let's just change it. Okay. Record. Yeah. So here I have the due date, name, ID number. And I have a table of contents here, then table of figures, and then executive summary. So as I have explained before, executive summary is like context of the whole process where it should be able to be understood by a non-technical person. So when someone reads the executive summary, they should have been understand the whole scenario in the network and the whole issue, even though they are not like more technical person. And then followed by the engagement scope. So in the current capsule conf environment, the engagement scope for was only these machines from 200 to 227, like 10 machines. So these are the only machines we were allowed to do it. So in different companies, they'll have different networks. And in my topology, this is the network I have done pen testing, and then engagement methodology. So how I engage in the pen testing. So here, as you see here, phase one information gathering, which was covered in lab one and two, and then the rest is covered on phase two focus presentation. So after we got the information gathering, we get inside the network, and then how we got exploit each of them, and then the attack narrative means deeply explains the each phases. So phase one, phase two, and the next one is technical observation. So here we will specify all of our findings. For example, so as you see here, the dot one. So we have the evidence here, which we says like the TN machine was vulnerable to the eternal blue attack, which enabled system level access to the attacker.
So here we have specified the recommendation to upgrade this system and then update the Windows as possible and then disable SMB1 like that. And the additional references has the relative CVEs. So we can search the CVE on the Google and then understand more about it. So each table has severity, title, observation, and what was the issue, what happened, like that. And then impact is like what happens when someone get access, someone exploited this vulnerability. So like this, we have covered everything which we have done in the previous labs. So I think we have totally 15, and the 15th one is the last one where we got whole whole network access. You see here the impact secret dump extracted all domain hashes. So, and then we have four appendix. One is severity definition. So as you see here in each table, we have a severity level. So we should have a severity definition. So what each severity level explains or so the second one is host and services. So these are the exploited or vulnerable services and host machines. So and then we have tool lists, and these are the tools we have used. We have, for example, we use Go Witness to take screenshot of the HTTP or HTTPS servers in the environment, and then John the Ripper to brute force, and many more tools you can see here. And the last appendix, we have shared the additional references, which were like the similar CVs, and that, and this just the reference. So this is my pen testing report, and you can follow similar format. I follow the similar format from the book, and you can also follow the similar format. I'll give the GitHub link for this report in the description, and you can check it out. And that's it. We have done the art of network penetration testing course based on the book written. Thank you for watching. Hope everyone will have a good time hacking systems.